Welcome to C&R Fishing Masterclass. You join me here today in my dining room where I've just been doing some hooks, and I just thought it'd be a good idea just to take you through the patterns of hooks I use for all my natural fishing. So the reason I want to talk about this really is because the tackle trade is an absolute minefield to try and navigate your way through. So just a little bit of help of someone now and again can just make your life a bit easier. So, in my fishing, I just try and keep everything as simple as possible to try not to confuse myself. Just try and narrow all my fishing equipment down just to make it go a bit further. So, when it comes to natural fishing, there's loads of hooks out there, and I just try and pick a couple of hooks to suit my needs. So, I do, in the winter, I do some bloodworm fishing now and again, which requires a fine wire hook, because hooks, I think, and fishing is always about bait presentation. The better presentation you're going to get, the more fish you're going to put in the net. So the hooks I use for single bloodworm fishing for small species of fish is a Mystic Match from VMC, and this is a really it's a 7001. And it's a really fine wire hook. It's just 0.23 in diameter, and it's a really fine gauge. And I use these in like 22s and 20s for single bloodworm. That's the hook I use for my bloodworm fishing. Next, we'll go on to the very famous hook, the Kamazan B711. So this hook is quite a strong hook, and I use this for things like lobworm fishing on canals or on rivers, and then it can be used for, which I've used it on for fishing pieces of meat on the pole and stuff like that for big species of fish like chub and barbel, and that's the B711. It's quite a thick gauge. It's got a really big spade on it, which helps when you're using thick line, because when the hook's under a lot of pressure, the line's not going to pull over that spade. So that's why I use that, the B711. Moving on, we'll start from, so I've got a few hooks here, and they are quite new, to be honest. But with fishing, it's the same as everything. It's moving along so quickly, and you need to stay like in tune with it. Fishing tackle should always be getting better, and I'm always upgrading my tackle, but I need to keep it simple. So the next few hooks I'm going to show you is from a range of Preston Innovations, and they've just brought out this new range of hooks, and they're all fantastic, to be honest. I use most of the range bar one. So starting from the beginning is the Preston Innovations N10. This hook, it's quite a fine wire, and it's got a round bend on it. So I used to use a hook called a B511, which was good for bread fishing, hemp fishing, and this hook has now took over the B511 in my armoury. So like I said, it's a fine wire hook. I use this for pole fishing with maggots and pinkies and casters. Because it's a fine wire hook, it's quite light. So as we talked about earlier, bait presentation, the lighter you can get away with, the better, because you want your bait to fall with the rest of the bait that you're feeding as naturally as possible. And I use that for my pole fishing and the whip, fishing on the whip now and again. That's the N10. Next is the N40. I want to talk about this one next because this is also goes hand in hand with the N10. It's another it's a medium gauge wire, but this is the hook I'd use when the N10 isn't quite strong enough. So I'd step up for this. It's got like a crystal bend on it, so it's more suited to like maggots, but you can use it for maggots, casters, worms, and pinkies if needs be. But this is just a step up really from the N10. And that there, I would use them both on the pole and running line. Okay, going on to the next two patterns. These patterns I would primarily use for my feeder fishing. So we'll go on to the N20 first. This hook's a medium gauge wire, and it's very good. It's a very good feeder fishing hook shape. So when you're relying on fish hooking themselves, and it's good for keeping the bait on the hook because it's got that kink in the bend as well. It's good for keeping the bait on to stop bait wriggling off like maggots and stuff like that. It's not a really wide gape, but it's a nice medium gape hook. That's very good for catching lots of fish on the feeder. Moving on to the N30. So this hook is probably my favourite shape hook. It's very similar to the famous B560, B911, around that, like that pellet wide gape shape. It's a really nice hook. All these hooks, I must say, are all black nickel coated, so that's why I've moved on to them. Moving along, it's alright having a silver hook or a bronze hook, but the black nickel on the hooks just protects the hooks slightly more. It adds something to the surface to help them penetrate into the fish's lips. And going on to the shape of this hook, this is very good hook for worms, bunches of maggots, a piece of corn. It's a really good all-round hook. The reason I like these is because they go from sizes 10 all the way down to 18, and this hook takes over the B560 for me, which I've used for absolutely donkey's years. Very sharp hooks, and they are strong. I use this hook up to a size 14, and then there's a hook that I've been using for the last probably 12 months that has just blew me away really. It's the Gamakatsu 2260 A1 hard. So this is this hook is basically exactly the same shape as the Preston N30, but I've never used a barbed hook as sharp as these. They are really strong, and it's the hook I used in my barbel feature that I've done on the River Severn, trotting meat on a stick and a bollo. These hooks for the gauge wire are very good. The only downside is the smallest size they do is a size 12, and they're quite expensive. They're $2.99 a pack. So yeah, compared to the rest of these hooks, they are quite an expensive hook, but they are very good. And that is basically all I use for all my natural fishing. There is a hook here to cover it all, and it's really simple. I've got all of the Preston N series hooks, bar I think it's the N50, which is, the reason I don't use that is because the 711 does the job for me. I think that another reason I don't use that Preston N50 hook is because it's the same finish as a 711, so I can't see any point in changing. Whereas all these are black nickel finish, so that I'm upgrading my hooks to these. Whereas the N50, I think it is, yeah, the N50, there's no need to change this from the 711 because this does the job. And then yeah, we've just got the Gamakatsu hook and the VMC Mystic Match. Fantastic hooks, and they've not let me down. So yeah, really impressed. All these will be tied using Preston Reflow Power. Fantastic line. I don't think you can get any better personally, but everyone's got opinions, this is just mine. So yeah, thanks for watching, and that is my selection of natural fishing hooks. See you next time.